Call to order this meeting of the Susquehanna Township Board of Commissioners for October 12, 2023. All commissioners are here with the exception of Commissioner Williams and Commissioner Verlona, who are excused. We did meet in executive session before this meeting to discuss matters of personnel, litigation, and real estate. We'll have a pledge of allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. Mr. Verlona, if you would please lead us in the name. Sorry for butchering your last name.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. That means you, Pam. You're everybody. Petition, complaint, suggestions from citizens. Do we have anybody to address the board tonight? Hearing none. Approval of minutes, September 28, 2023.
Mr. President,
Yes,
I will move to approve the minutes as amended. There were amendments offered that include those in my motion.
All right.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Commissioner Rabarchak. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Reports of committees, buildings and grounds. Commissioner Rothrock.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. The only thing I have to report is that our generator has been received by the contractor, and installation is scheduled for Monday, October 23rd, and it should be operational a few days after that.
Great.
That concludes my report.
All right. Budget and Finance, Commissioner Sanderson.
Briefly, we are scheduled to have another meeting next Thursday, and I think all the members of the board have been asked to provide input on their priorities. We expect to have a preliminary draft early next week, and then we'll make our push through October into the final presentation in November. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Works, Commissioner Napper.
Yes, Mr. President, in the month of September, maintenance personnel performed daily checks and repaired pumping stations. The maintenance staff flushed and televised the storm and sanitary systems. Maintenance staff inspected all the trouble locations, plus walked the right-of-way to locate and inspect manholes. Public Works personnel has been working on updating the GIS mapping and lateral locations and adding them to the map. The GIS mapping system information can be found on the Township website. And I would ask Township staff if you could please do a demonstration at our next workshop meeting. Also, as a final note, railway construction projects are just about completed all. Crooked Hill Road, Rose Hill Road, Valley Road, Goose Valley Road, Locust Lane, and Maple Shade Road. This ends my report, sir.
Very good. Thank you. Health and Sanitation, Commissioner Rabarchak.
Thank you, Mr. President. This Saturday, the 21st, will be yard waste pickup conducted by Penn Waste. And then just looking ahead to November, there will be one yard waste pickup. That date will be November 18th. And that will be the final pickup for the 2023 season. So take that opportunity to put out any final bundles of brush. And that concludes my report.
All right. Thank you. Admin and Personnel, Commissioner Napper.
Yes, Mr. President, the Admin Personnel Committee met with the Highway Bargaining Unit and ASME union representatives for a productive discussion. And at this present time, there is no final agreement in place, but this committee will have additional details at our next executive session meeting. This ends my report, sir.
Thank you. Police, Commissioner Engel.
No report.
Thank you. Fire and EMS, Commissioner Hisro.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Planning and Zoning, Commissioner Hisro, or Rothrock.
Thank you, Mr. President. There was a planning commission meeting on the 18th of September. There were two items on the agenda. One was 3103 Walnut Street, which is in the 5th Ward. It was a preliminary final land development plan for constructing a 608 square foot addition with 2 service bays. That plan was approved by this board at our September workshop meeting. on the 28th. The other item was 4209 Cumberland Avenue, which is in the 8th Ward. It's a preliminary and final subdivision plan for the purpose of subdividing a property and constructing 4 single-family detached dwellings. That was tabled for further consideration after being presented to the zoning hearing board for some items that needed to be done. Also, there was a zoning hearing board meeting scheduled for the 4th of October, which was canceled. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. School board, still need to assign a lead liaison to that. Did we have anything? David or Betsy?
Not that I'm aware of, sir.
Oh, the ribbon cut. Yeah, after 64 years, the concession stand outlived its useful life. And the school district raised the old building, which was in really bad shape, and built a new one. They were very thankful and appreciative of the township's assistance on a number of fronts, but mainly zoning or the plan approvals and all that nonsense. But it was a very nice event, and hey, we sat down for a little bit after, cut the ribbon, and had a hot dog, and it was just starting to rain, but Susquehanna Township had already bolted to a 2-touchdown lead, so go Hannah. And they ultimately did win the game, so it was a good night. Thanks for that catch, Commissioner Barczyk. Authority, Commissioner Napper.
Oh, no report, sir.
Thank you. Shade Tree, Commissioner Barczyk.
I don't have a report, but I believe the Shade Tree Commission did plant trees, did they not? Do you have an update on that?
Yes, ma'am. We did, Public Works assisted the Shade Tree Commission in planting trees. The last 6 trees were planted this week, so. Today. Hot off the press.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, communications. Commissioner Williams is not here. Do you have anything, Gary?
No.
Well, we just got our new newsletter. Oh, that's news.
That's good.
That's, looks really nice. Human Relations, Commissioner Hessero.
I no report.
Thank you, sir. Parks and Rec, Commissioner Velona's not here, so Carl, do you have anything?
Well, I didn't realize Fred was going to be here, so I didn't really have anything planned, but Doug Knaus will provide a report later. I'm sure he can cover anything that needs to be covered.
Is that true? It is not.
Doug's always good for whatever's going on with Parks and Recreation, so I'm not too worried about it.
All right, at this point, moving on in the agenda, we will break into a hearing to discuss, to have a hearing on amendments previously advertised on street and sidewalk ordinance. And I would defer to, we break into the hearing right now, to Law Bureau and Solicitor Michael M. Miller, Esquire.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first public hearing has been properly noticed for this evening. It involves amendments to Chapter 21, Streets and Sidewalks of the Susquehanna Township Code and Ordinance. So that we get out of here before 11, I will not read the 27 separate changes that we make to Chapter 21 dealing with the streets and sidewalks. I will allow the public to refer to the agenda, but suffice to say that these are updates to a section of the Code of Ordinance which has been long neglected to make clearer what the responsibilities are for property owners for their streets and sidewalks, and what the design criteria on, and so on and so forth. This has been properly advertised. There have been comments made by the manager, and the concerns are been circulated to the administration. At this time, if any member of the public has anything to add to the record on the amendments to Chapter 21. Any member at all? Going for a third time. Any member of the Board of Commissioners that has any comments about the amendments to Chapter 21 or the administration itself? Dave, anything for you?
Yes, sir. So there were a couple of comments that were received by commissioners. I believe that one had to do with the length of cul-de-sacs. I think that question has been resolved. The second comment had to do with the maintenance of curbs. So if the board wanted to have discussion on that, certainly could. But those comments, as they were provided to me, as directed at the last meeting, are included with your agenda.
Any discussion from commissioners?
Yes, Mr. President, I would like to see, at an absolute minimum, the piggyback contract provision included to address the curb issue. My continuing concerns about residents having to pay where the damage may not have been their fault, and then having to go out in a very short period of time and getting it contracted. If we're able to have a provision like that to help alleviate in terms of excess costs that they may have to incur, I think that would be a good thing.
So to Commissioner Hisro's point, the potential for enacting a contract where there would be, let's call it a township rate for residents for curb repair or replacement with a private entity is, I think, something that the board can take up separately. It's certainly not part of this ordinance or the ordinance amendment. I do think it's, as I said last time, kind of a neat idea to explore, something to think about. But in terms of this ordinance, that need not hold this up.
And I would agree with that. I just want to make my comment and concerns
Sure.
for the record that we really need, beyond approving the current ordinance, that we need to take a further look at that other issue as well.
Well, you're on the right committee for that.
Yeah.
How about that, Steve?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
absolutely.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
Mr. President, hearing no other comments from the public or from the board, I would move to close this public hearing and move to the next public hearing.
This meeting is closed. This meeting is over.
Thank you, Mr. President. The description of this public meeting being actually pronounceable, I will read it in the record. It's a public hearing on the ordinance of Susquehanna Township, Dauphin County, Pennsylvania, amending Chapter 16, Parks and Recreation, Part 1, Rules and Regulations by repealing or replacing Section 16-103, Prohibited Conduct, amending Section 16-604, Fishing by establishing additional regulations for Boyd Park, semicolon, and amending Section 16-609, Penalties by increasing penalties for violation. This is also an ordinance which has been properly advertised for a public hearing today. And I think it would be appropriate as we start on this public hearing for either the manager or the Parks Director to provide any comments they would like, explanatory comments they would like on this particular ordinance.
I would defer to Director Knaus.
Thank you, Commissioners. As we've discussed previously, this is to basically strengthen and clarify many of the rules that we have in our parks system now, and then also provide rules and regulations for the Boyd Park facility in regards to fishing and boat use in the pond, and then finally to strengthen our penalty for violation of these rules. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any member of the public that has any comment about these rules and amendments? Again, going once, going twice, going 3 times. Any member of the Board of Commissioners has any comments for the record?
I'd just like to thank our Parks and Recreation Director and manager for getting some protection for my beloved fish in the pond.
Commissioner Rothrock's care about aquaculture in the Susquehanna Township is noted for the record and will forever be part of the record. So,
I certainly hope so.
anything else from any
Yeah,
other?
I'd like to just add, as one of the two liaison on the rec committee that reviewed and commented and approved this for this public meeting, that the committee did a very thorough job. There were changes that were made, things debated and back and forth to make sure that we had it as tight and good as we could. So I do want to commend the committee for its efforts and can say that, it was a well thought out process to get it to where we're at.
Good, thank you. Anybody else have any comments?
Just one quick comment, broadly, both for the commissioners, the staff, and for the audience. In 27 plus years of doing this, the best kind of government is boring government, in the sense that things get done and they get done right. And this board has always had kind of a light touch with its residents and its constituents, but no one should be fooled. These details matter, right? They matter to people who use the parks, to people who are concerned about their sidewalks, and I think that it's important for the public to understand just how much time, effort, and thought goes in by the board, by the administration, in both of these ordinances. They sound like things that would put you to sleep at night, but they are important to homeowners, they're important to residents, and this stuff doesn't happen by accident. So I joined Commissioner Hisro in the sense that I think people need to understand that this stuff happens after a lot of study and a lot of thought. With that, I'll close the public hearing and ask the President to move on in our agenda.
Well put. Meeting's closed, and we reconvene with our regular meeting and move on with the agenda. Next item being bids and agreements. First up is approval of an agreement with Tony Russo for health inspection services for Susquehanna Township. Betsy Logan.
Thank you, President. Provided with your agenda is a copy of the revised agreement with Tony Russo for health inspection services for the township. Inspector Russo has requested an increase in rates to $60 per health inspection beginning January 1, 2024 to keep up with rising fuel prices and other expenses. Staff is recommending approval of this agreement.
So moved. Second.
Moved in second. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next up is an approval of a retainer agreement with HRG for design, engineering, and project management services for the Public Works Storage Building. Mr. Pavolka.
Thank you, Mr. President. Board has with the agenda a copy of the retainer agreement that HRG has proposed to for construction management and design services for the Public Works Storage Facility. The board may recall that in 2022, the township was awarded $40,000 from a Dauphin County local share grant to offset the cost of design and construction of this facility. The intent is for this to be what we often refer to as a cold storage facility, basic amenities, basic utilities, but its really primary purpose is to get some of our capital equipment out of the elements and prolong the useful life of some of our expensive vehicles and road working equipment, etc. So we have had a chance to talk with Alex Greenlee, Nate Bragonier, and I about what we're expecting out of the facility. Of course, the board will be kept apprised of the process as it moves forward. There's an appropriation in the draft budget as well for the construction of the facility, so we hope to have that well underway in 2024, and we are recommending approval of the engagement this evening.
Okay.
So moved. Second.
Moved in second. Any comments or questions?
Do we know the approximate cost of this building? I realize we haven't done a formal cost estimate, but do we have a ballpark?
Well, we hope it costs less than a ballpark, but we're thinking it'll probably be somewhere in $180,000 to $200,000 range. That's our bogey. Of course, we may have to value engineer that a little bit in order to meet that number. Construction pricing being what it is, a little unpredictable. So it's hard to say just as of yet, but that's what we're aiming for anyway. So we're thinking metal pole building, as I said, really basic. It'll have to have a pad-mounted foundation of some sort. So there'll be a little bit of grading involved, but I think that's a fair estimate. Alex, I don't know if you're going to tell me. He's gonna add 20% to it. Engineers always do. But
He just said the cost is a ballpark.
He did. We'll have better numbers for you hopefully in the near future.
Well, as part of it, it's approved, part of our contract would be to come up with a preliminary cost estimate.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ordinances and resolutions. First up is proposed ordinance 2302, and this was the result of the first hearing we had earlier in this meeting. And this is consideration of enactment of amendment to Chapter 21, Streets and Sidewalk of the Susquehanna Township Code of Ordinances. Mr. Proboka.
Thank you, Mr. President. The board has the amendment to Chapter 21, Streets and Sidewalks, in your agenda packet this evening. It was provided with the public hearing. Happy to answer any questions that the board may have, but staff is recommending that the board adopt the ordinance.
Is there a motion? Moved by Commissioner Sanderson.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Engel. Any comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. All those are opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Next up is ordinance 2303, consideration of enactment of an amendment to Chapter 16, Parks and Recreation of the Susquehanna Township Code of Ordinances. Again, this is reference to a hearing that we had just moments ago tonight.
I'll move for approval of ordinance 2023-03 involving amendment to Chapter 16 of the Parks and Recreation Code of Ordinances.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is Resolution 23R30, accepting a corrected deed of dedication from the right-of-way on Paxton Church Road from the Susquehanna Township Authority. Mr. Popolka.
Thank you, Mr. President. The board has with your agenda this evening a copy of the resolution. As the preamble indicates, it would be to accept a corrective deed of dedication for additional right-of-way on Paxton Church Road. This is in conjunction with the recently completed Paxton Church Road realignment and rehabilitation project. The board may recall that a number of months ago, the commissioners accepted a deed of dedication for right-of-way that was required to realign the road geometry and effect the improvements to the stream bank. Manada Conservancy also holds a conservation easement on the property. This particular corrective deed was necessitated by the placement of a utility pole by PP&L. So PP&L essentially put their utility pole a little bit outside the existing right-of-way. We explored a number of alternatives with them, well, two. One of those being an easement conveyance, which Manada Conservancy wasn't really supportive of because they have a need to protect their easement for a long term. So the corrective deed of dedication is really the only way to approach this. At the Susquehanna Township Authority meeting earlier this week, they approved a motion to convey the additional right-of-way, and we are recommending that the commissioners this evening accept that additional.
So moved.
conveyance.
Second.
Moved and seconded by a couple of Philly fans. Any comments or questions?
This is just basically to
No fair,
Correct
you're
for
a Pirate
where-
fan.
where the
They're not in the playoffs.
where the pole was located versus where it was supposed to be located. It's that simple.
That's correct. PP&L read the plan wrong, put the pole outside the right-of-way, so that's why they're paying for the cost of the
Okay. Thanks.
the corrective deed.
Any other comments or questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Staff report, Township Manager.
Thank you, Mr. President. My report is in your packet. Really, we have a number of staffing vacancies that we've been pretty busy trying to interview candidates and present candidates for your consideration at future meetings. As Commissioner Napper indicated earlier in the Public Works report, we are pleased to say that paving projects are largely concluded. Those include areas of Crooked Hill Road, Locust Lane, Valley Road, Goose Valley Road, Rose Hill Road, and Maple Shade Drive. We appreciate the patience of residents as we proceeded through those projects, but I think everyone will be pretty happy with the final results. Staff is finalizing proposals for a request for proposals for a new accounting system. This was appropriated in the 2023 annual budget. Unfortunately, because of other priorities, we haven't been able to really focus on it until just recently. So we intend to have that as an item for discussion at the upcoming Budget and Finance Committee meeting, hopefully with the committee's endorsement to release that RFP. We'll collect responses, and then we'll be conducting evaluations, site visits, etc. And we hope to have a replacement proposed for consideration by the Board of Commissioners either before the end of the year or early 2024, depending on the process and how the quality of the response. That concludes my report. I can answer any questions you might have.
Any questions of the manager? All right, hearing none. Public Safety Police, Chief, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Thank you. Community and Economic Development, Ms. Logan.
You have my report, just a couple updates. We did see a slowdown in permits in September, but that seems to pick back up. And we have sent out violation notices for about 50 properties for not having their septic systems pumped. We've been receiving them with the deadline, which was today. And we also have sent out letters for the skill game licensing requirements, and we are receiving applications back in there for licenses.
How many positive responses have we gotten back? Positive in terms of?
Like they filled out the form and submitted
Filled out the
it.
form and submitted it?
I think we have about 15 so far.
That's good.
Yeah, I think we sent 35 letters out.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Public Works, Nate, do you have anything?
My report's attached, if you have any questions.
All right. Engineer, Alex, nothing? Just a report?
Just a report. Any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
All right. Law Bureau.
Go Phillies. That's my report.
Here you
All right. And Parks and Rec, Doug, do you have anything?
Apparently gonna do an update. You have my report. Just a few items to add. We will be concluding our pavilion rentals on October 29th in 2 weeks. And then shortly thereafter, we will start our restaurant closures for the winter. All the restaurants will be closed with the exception of Veterans Park. That will continue to be open through the fall sports seasons that are taking place over there. This year we had 117 pavilion rentals across the 4 parks that we rent our pavilions. And then currently we're at 2,856 enrollments for this year. Last year, for the entirety, we only had 1,899. So we were on a very nice pace to increase that as well. And then finally, we had about 350 people attend the Touch a Truck event, which was the beginning of the month at McNaughton Park. And then just last weekend, we had about 118 residents come through the shredding event that we held at Veterans Park. Any questions?
How many people to the shredding event?
We had about 118 come through.
That's good.
Including me.
So,
3 blocks?
Yeah,
of the past 3 years we've done it, it's the highest number we've had.
that's great.
Come through.
What do you owe it to? The newsletter?
I think newsletter and people are getting more aware of what we're doing and we're around more so.
All right. Any questions of Doug?
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Doug. Old business. Won't see any listed. New business? See anything? Consent agenda, and there are 6 items here. And they are statement of bills paid, pay application number 1, road paving, $19,605.60. Authorization to advertise police body worn camera and mobile video recording system on municipal bid. Termination of the employment of Kathy Fry, executive assistant. Acceptance of the resignation of Matt Breach, zoning administrator. And pay application number 3, Paxton Church Road stabilization project, $634,445.25. And while these are all listed as one item, feel free to comment on any or all of those that you wish.
Motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Commissioner Napper. Any comments? I would just like, on a personal level, I am personally very sad to see 2 valued employees go. Kathy Fry did a tremendous job, and I think the culmination of her tenure here, in my view, was working with the team that put together the volunteer appreciation dinner 2 weeks ago. It was an awesome night, and a lot of people worked on it, but Kathy took care of all the little details that a lot of people don't see. And Mac Breach has been with us all too short amount of time. We hired him out of college. I think he still had his finals to complete when he came on board, or at least accepted. And he's found an opportunity with another municipality, less of a municipality in my view. And so, that having said, people do fun, and but I wanted to express my personal appreciation to very good people.
I concur in those comments.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Commissioner comments? Yes, Carl?
Mr. President, just briefly to remind everyone that trick or treat night will be Tuesday, the October 31st from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Halloween on Halloween?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else? I would just
I'll
like
second.
to, hold on, that's out of order. I would like to take a moment, and I meant to do this earlier on, but to make mention of the situation in Israel. It's far away, but it really hits home on a lot of fronts. That barbaric action, is hard to stomach, hard to watch. The misery is unpalpable, and our thoughts and prayers, as late as that sounds, go out to the people affected. I just like to offer that and wish for a speedy conclusion to this. And doesn't look like there's going to be, but I certainly hope there is. I think we all do. So that's my comment. Now the chair will entertain a Philly fan motion.
So moved.
To adjourn, okay. Is there a second?
Second.
No second. Fails. Motion fails for lack of a second. Commissioner Hisro seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are out of here. Ooh.